Hey, welcome everyone. It is a review time now. As you guys may know, Cheshire was on vacation this morning, so we did not have a caffeine corner. Don't know where she took her vacation to. Don't know who with, don't know why, don't know how, don't know anything about it, but she's not here with me. And I miss her. And I'm sad. A little. But I'll get over it. So, hopefully you guys can hear me. Let me know as soon as you can hear the audio, because I hate doing these things. And 5 minutes into it, realizing nobody can hear me. I do this every time. Audio check, or we'll be doing it most time, just to make sure you can hear me. This is a little bit different from the ones I usually review. Usually I try to do a more current review on a video that people have sent me, and I've been sent a lot of stuff. Some of the things people send me are like 2 hours long. I appreciate that, and if you do that, just please kind of give me a timestamp, because look, my 20-minute videos take about 2 hours. So I'm not going to do the math, but if the ratio was the same, can you imagine me trying to do a review of a full 2-hour video? It would be here for days. And I'm not going to do that. So yeah, kind of give me a timestamp. This video is about 26 minutes, give or take. I'm not even sure if I'm going to get through all of it. It's split into 2 parts, and I kind of like the way it was formatted. If you guys don't know Noel Plum, go check out his channel. He is a great content creator, has been around for a very long time. One of the OGs of the OGs. Matter of fact, this video was actually before my channel was even around. This was from 2012. My channel was not even started until 2013. I don't remember if I knew of Noel Plum prior to that. I don't remember. I mean, I've obviously watched some YouTube prior to me having a channel. Yeah, he's been around a long time. So let me give you guys a little backstory, because it's going to be like a retro review. A review of something that is old, because I think it's important that we kind of look to the past to see where the future is going, because there's a lot of repeat of these problematic behaviors that we see time and time again. And this one's really a doozy. A lot of people don't know the backstory for a lot of this stuff. Matter of fact, let me ask the audience here, how many of you guys remember the whole Atheism Plus debacle, kerfuffle, schism, whatever you want to call it? This was some time ago, but it seems like history is repeating itself. Seems like there's always a schism in the atheist community involving certain things. But I think Noel Plum did an amazing breakdown on this particular video. He analyzed it perfectly. He has really a keen sense for those things. And no, I'm not just sucking up to him. We probably disagree on a lot of things. I don't know. Maybe we do or don't. But, you know, when I see somebody that can do a proper analysis of something in a way that I think at least makes sense, doesn't have to be the correct analysis, because, you know, people get things wrong, but in a way that at least seems reasonable and rational, then, yeah, you kind of take notice of it. And Noel Plum does that. So he's really good at what he does. It was a long time ago. Yeah, people out there, yeah, this was like ancient history. So it's not like I'm trying to bring back ancient history. It's like somebody sent me this, and I already had watched it before, but I watched it again. It kind of reminded me just of stuff, right? Kind of reminded me of, hey, we've seen these things type of things happen before. Now, not to give too much away, but the Atheism Plus was basically a way to bring in a lot of politicized types of positions dealing with social justice, feminism, trans rights, a whole bunch of other things that in of itself probably had merit to some degree, right? We recognize that there are radicals in any group. Feminism especially has a lot of radicals. This was probably more along the lines of, you know, at the end of the second wave, beginning of third wave feminism, if I had to guess. But it did get incorporated into some really radicalized stuff. And it was a way to bring in atheism, that, which, by the way, many atheists thought was a bad move. And when I was, again, starting my channel, I was familiar with this stuff. So yeah, I mean, I was familiar with the Atheism Plus prior to me even getting on YouTube, and I wasn't, you know, much into learning about atheism, but I was like, yeah, this is probably not a good idea, right? I mean, I'm sure you guys remember years ago watching all these videos about these radical feminists going, man, this is some weird stuff. Well, yeah, and why did atheism want to get involved with that? I have no idea. But I do remember that Matt Dillahunty was one of the few more prominent atheists that really promoted Atheism Plus. Him, Aaron Ra, and Richard Carrier were the big 3 from what I remember, and David Silverman, big 4. Now, I could probably think it's safe to say that David Silverman has gone a 180 from that direction. He no longer affiliates with Atheism Plus. Matter of fact, he speaks out quite a bit against some of the things that they held. Richard Carrier, if I'm not mistaken, has done a 180 as well. He no longer thinks that, but both of them had some issues with them. And they recognize, hey, this whole, if you're not with us, you're against us kind of mentality just doesn't work, especially when you're accused of things and, you know, you're not guilty of them. And in the Atheism Plus community, you're guilty until proven innocent. And that is not a healthy way to have a society. So they recognize, I think, that those are probably not good ideas. So Matt was basically started this group. Well, I don't know if he started it, but he at least had one of the first posts in it, or the first post of some blogs dealing with Atheism Plus. And Noel is basically going to explain the story of how Matt set out to try to show people that the Atheist Plus community was not a bunch of, you know, overbearing, self-righteous snowflakes that, you know, held that their opinion was so great that if anybody disagreed with them, they were basically wrong by fiat, which they'd still do to this day. So he set out to do that, and it backfired in his face. It backfired spectacularly. Of all the things that have ever happened on the internet, this will probably go down as one of the greatest blunders of all time. Because as Noel Plum points out, Matt didn't understand his audience. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's my words. He didn't understand his audience. He didn't understand the social climate that he was in. So with that, let's kind of check out this video and see what Noel has to say about this. Oops. Hang on one sec. Gotta move this over here. Okay. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear it, and I have everything on. Yes. And I'm playing at 1.5 speed.
Okay, but the dust has had a chance to settle.
I'm playing at 1.5 speed because he talks really slow. I think he's British, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, he talks really slow. By the way, I did that pretty well. But I also have the closed caption on. So Feline, if you're out there, this is for you too. Gotta get back to live chat too. Yeah. When I do that, it goes off screen. I don't know why. Okay, we get the live chat going, and here we go.
A little bit, and I want to go through this Atheism Plus Matt Dillahunty affair. Whatever your views are on Atheism Plus, this has got to have been fascinating viewing for anybody that's took any notice of this. I've followed it on the internet. I've also followed it on Twitter. It's been fantastic value. So what I want to do in this video then is several things. The first thing is I want to be able to bring anybody who's not familiar with this, don't worry, I'll try to bring you up to speed on what's gone on with all of this. If you are pretty much up to speed, it might fill in a few blanks. So it'll be a nice little going over everything that's happened. You'll be able to reminisce the events of the last few days. Once I've done that then, it's going to be in 2 segments. That's the first segment. The second segment then is that I'm going to, a little bit of conjecture, a little bit of speculation. I'm going to give my opinion on where Matt went wrong in all of this.
Hopefully we get to that part. Like I said, the first part here is just be going over the facts of the matter, right? And I like that format, by the way. Go over the facts and then give your opinion on it too. I don't do it that way. I kind of mix them, but I have no problem with doing a 2-parter, right? Here's just the facts, and here's my evaluation of the facts. I think that's perfectly fine. I think I've done it that way a few times too on a few things.
Where Matt is at now, and where this can probably or possibly move forward or not, as the case may be. So what I suggest you do is grab your...
By the way, somebody says he doesn't talk that slow. Let's put him on normal speed and see that. Let's see here. This is him on normal speed.
Yourself a cup of coffee and we'll get started.
Grab yourself a cup of coffee and we'll get started. They see exactly. Actually, if I really wanted to have fun, I would just go like this. This is him. This is him. Here we go. That's how I hear him speak. Oh, and it goes to his cut screen. Bad timing on that. Anyways, here we go. Put this back on 1.5. Aren't these fun?
Okay, so one assumes that the viewer, your good self, knows what Atheism Plus is about. But if you don't, this links in with a Twitter that I made, or tweet. It's a tweet, isn't it? Not a Twitter. A tweet that I made.
See, by the way, I do the same thing he does. When I talk about Twitters and tweets, I get all tongue-tied. I had this happen the other day with Cheshire, and she's like, "Are you having a stroke?" Because I was like, it was a tweeter on the Twitters on the twit. Yeah, so.
A couple of weeks ago, I said there were 2 Atheism Pluses. There's the Atheism Plus of the Aaron Ra and Matt Dillahunties of this world, and then there's the Atheism Plus of the Forum, the Jen McCrites and all that lot. I think there's actually 3 Atheism Pluses in there. There's Jen McCrites' original Atheism Plus. Let's remind ourselves of that. That's Atheism Plus all these social justice issues, which mainly amounts to feminism, to be honest. And this was seen as this was a new dawn for atheism. This was the third wave of atheism. This was going to redefine atheism in itself, and a lot of us had problems with that idea. Then I think we've also got this second Atheism Plus, which is the safe haven, isn't it? It's the forum for people that really get a little bit scared if they go as far, in some cases, as free thought blogs. It was this ultra little safe enclosure where you're very unlikely to speak to anybody who disagrees with you.
All right, let's check that out real quick. So what he's saying is this, and by the way, his recollection, or my recollection on this, of his recollection is pretty well spot on. I remember this happening. I mean, I've talked about it a little bit before, but he's basically saying that the second wave of atheism was basically they start these free thought blogs, and they started these blogs where everybody have a safe haven to come talk about things without too much personal stuff, and it was kind of a safe haven. By the way, they don't work, but it was a conglomeration of snowflakes that if anybody disagreed with them, they would just get chastised, yelled at, mocked, eviscerated, blocked, and treated like complete garbage, because that's what fundamental feminists tend to do, right? So the second wave of atheism was basically, let's set up these forums and we'll talk about these issues on Atheism Plus in a more of a safe space kind of thing. And Matt Dillahunty was all behind that, and he posted to those boards, and I think he was the first one to post to it and support it. And of course the mods all know who Matt Dillahunty was. They all were like, oh, this is great, let's work with Matt Dillahunty, and then everything went to crap.
Or at least that's the forum that some of the members, I think, would like. Certainly nothing approaching the movement that Jen McCrae had envisaged, I don't think, because there's no movers.
By the way, he said Democrat, by the way.
And then there is the Atheism Plus of the Matt Dillahunties and the Aaron Ra. And this was the Atheism Plus taking the idea on board, but not really. I never blamed these individuals. They're both very busy gents with a lot on their plate. Clearly haven't got time to look behind the scenes of actually what's being said, what's being discussed over at places like the Atheism Plus Forum, and exactly what the perspective on specifically feminism is that's been adopted there. So there was kind of 3 Atheism Pluses.
And by the way, I think that's kind of important. I mean, he kind of said it as a throwaway statement, but I think there's a lot more value to that than he probably realized, because, they attached their names to these things, but they really didn't know what these people were about. They just didn't. They didn't understand what they were getting themselves into. And this seems to be a recurrent theme with a lot of these people. They don't know what they're getting themselves into. And so they attach their names to this type of movement, this push for Atheism Plus, thinking it was such a great idea because let's relate social and political issues to atheism. Yeah, that's always a good idea. And they didn't recognize the type of mentality that they were dealing with, because these people are straight up just not right in the head in some cases. Matter of fact, Noel goes on to talk here. I'll give you a little foreshadowing. He goes on to talk about normalcy, and these people aren't normal. And what he means, and what I mean by this, is it means they're not normal in this what we would expect to be rational, coherent, critical thinkers. It has absolutely nothing to do with their political stance, their ideologies, their sexual persuasion, their gender, their anything to do with any of that. It has nothing to do whatsoever with anything about them, other than they're not normal as far as we would find to be rational people, because they're not rational people. They have irrational arguments. We see these things quite frequently across the board on Twitter and on YouTube. And that's what, my channel's about, a lot of it, especially, and Cheshire and I talk about these things quite a bit. And I have guests on, we talk about these things quite a bit of, why is it that people believe these types of conspiratorial things? Why do people believe flat Earth? Why do people believe young Earth creationism? Why do intelligent people even believe some of this stuff? And of course, people go on to say, well, why do even intelligent people believe in God? Which is, not a bad question per se. It's a question that could be discussed. I don't think there's a relationship between intelligence and believing in God, but other people might argue that. And if you have such a safe space where you couldn't even argue such a thing, let's say like the theists set up a free thought blog where an atheist couldn't even come in and say, hey, you believe in God, but here's the reasons why God doesn't exist, and not even be able to talk about that as a free thought, right? Not as a a Christian page that only set out to talk about Christianity, promote Christianity, whatever. We were talking about an open forum. This was supposed to be an open forum. So can you imagine the atheists doing exactly what the Christians are doing? It's the exact same thing. It's you cannot talk about these topics because we deemed what we can and cannot talk about on free thought blogs, and that just makes absolutely no sense to me. It's contrary to what I think Aaron Ra and Matt Dillahunty had thought going in. And by the way, I'm not even criticizing Matt on this. This video is not criticizing Matt, believe it or not, other than I think he underestimated his audience. It's criticizing what he got involved with and then didn't recognize this and then repeats these behaviors. But other than that, this is really more about how bad it was an idea to have this Atheism Plus.
And what happened with Matt Dillahunty is he was one of the few people that was actually prepared, that was actually brave enough to go beyond the outer limits of free thought blogs and go out there and say, no, actually, I'm in favour of Atheism Plus. This is why, and this is why I commend it to all you other people out there. Perhaps you should get on board or at least stop criticising. Whatever your perspective, I'm very anti-Atheism Plus. You've got to respect Matt Dillahunty for having the balls to do that and been prepared to do that, I would suggest.
Yeah, no, look, I got no problem with that either. Again, look, I'm not one of those people to criticize people just to criticize them. And when even people that I disagree with very strongly, when they do something that, yeah, I don't see issue with, or even think it's probably a good idea, I'll say so. Do I think this was a good idea? Probably not. But do I think that he had the good motives? Yeah, I think that had good motives. I think he really believed this stuff. I think he really thought this was beneficial. It wasn't, but I think that he had good intent.
But Matt's got dragged into all of this, so how did that come about? Well, a number of people over a period of time kept saying to Matt, you really don't know what's going on over there in this forum. It's really, what's actually happening is not quite as you're describing it. Maybe you ought to make yourself aware. Matt made us aware that he didn't have time to do that, but eventually something happened, which is that a specific user got in touch with him. I think they sent him a PM or an email and said, Matt, this person has been banned over on the Atheism Plus forum. I think you should go and have a look because it doesn't seem a very reasonable ban.
Now, by the way, that wasn't me that sent him PM. I know I get blamed for everything. I get blamed for every woe in the world. I get that. But this had nothing to do with me. I wasn't even on YouTube at the time. I was just a viewer. So basically, somebody got banned on the Free Thought blog, and people were messaging him going, hey, dude, you don't know what's going on over there. They're just losing their minds. Just banning people that disagree. It's not having open discussions. This one person, whoever it was, got banned. Can you go over there and check it out? And of course, Matt's probably pretty busy, but he did go over to check it out. And how he went over to check it out, I don't have a problem with. I think I will give him props. I think this was a very good idea, what he did, foreshadowing. But he actually got shit for what he did by these people that will twist anything. Anything you do by certain people will. Or anything you do, certain people can twist. We already know that. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with what he did. Anybody know what he did? Just out of curiosity. Don't no spoilers. Don't tell anybody. But if you know what Matt did before we get to that part, which is coming up here, tell me in the live chat that you know what he did. You remember.
And that's when the wheels...
I doubt a lot of people do. We'll see.
All started to fall off because Matt then went over onto the forum and had a look. Now, Matt had been on the Atheism Plus forum once before. Let's not forget that he'd registered under the name Matt Dillahunty. He'd made an initial posting just to say, hi, I'm Matt Dillahunty, this is who I am. I'm on board with this idea. I probably won't contribute very regularly. And then he left it at that. And then he never used that username anymore. He never went on the Atheism Plus forums anymore until he went back and had a look at this banning just to see what was happening.
Okay, so when all this started, he went over to those forums under Matt Dillahunty. And he was like, hey, yeah, I support this kind of stuff. And all the mods, of course, worship, and I mean that, figuratively. But, they're big fans of Matt Dillahunty. So this was like a crowning moment to them. Oh, man, we have the approval of Matt Dillahunty himself. This is great. We love this. Oh, we do have some people. I know Spooky Bed here knows. Kimamaki, yeah, I'm sure you know. Reverend, I'm sure you've been around. I know you've been around a long time. Okay, so... Keep me on track here. If I mess up the history of the chronology here, let me know. Again, this happened. It's going on 10 years here that this happened. So, I mean, this is really retro here. But I think it's important. I really do.
And what he thought was that this person who'd been banned had probably approached things in slightly the wrong way. And what he thought was that he could conduct a little experiment for the benefit of the Atheism Plus forum. What he thought was that if he created another username so that nobody would know who it was, that if he was to approach this subject, the subject of the person that had just been banned reasonably, ask a reasonable question in a reasonable tone of voice, that he would get a reasonable response. Okay,
so he said, okay, look, I don't think that these guys are doing what you think they're doing. I think if you approach them reasonably, you're going to have a reasonable discussion. Maybe this other person didn't approach reasonably. So he decided to make a fake account. And again, this is not bad. This is not trolling. Making a fake account to do this kind of experiment, I got no ethical issue with. I just don't. I mean, there was no intent to deceive as far as, to get anything out of it other than, hey, look, I wonder, because people know who he is. by name, right? Back then they all know who he was, and so he wanted to have a little incognito, right? And stars do this all the time. Some of them don't want to have. I'm not saying Matt's a star, okay, but I mean, actors and people of well-known reputation and recognizability, they go out in costume all the time because they don't want to get bothered sometimes. And so I can understand that, right? Not an ethical consideration to me whatsoever. Although, a little foreshadowing here more, the Free Thought blog didn't feel that way, and nor did the members, many of them who did not even know who he was. That's funny. But yeah, so I got no problem. So he was going to go, okay, let me approach them under a new name. The same type of discussion, same type of topic, same type of tone, and see what happens. Yeah, you guys can see where this is going, right?
Then he could come back to all those naysayers and say, look, actually what you've said about this Atheism Plus forum, it just isn't true. If you approach them in a reasonable manner, they will treat you in a reasonable manner. Well, that's where it all started to go wrong, because he made a series of posts on there under the username Curious. And it ended...
Can you guys see that post? Yeah, you guys can see it. So this is his alt that he went under to conduct this little experiment of some kind. And by the way, it was not some kind of like gross social experiment on humans and things of that nature, which, by the way, the blog elevated it to. This was just, hey, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to show you guys, look, if I don't go under my actual name so they don't know who I am, I'm not going to be treated any different than anybody else, and they're gonna talk about the topic that I want to talk about cordially and intelligently, because that's what free thought blogs do, right? No. So he says, my post was declined as off topic. I would appreciate if a moderator can post the content here. That's his post. Okay. Now remember, he posted under this Curious name, and it was declined as off topic. About the topic. Well, I don't even know what the hell the topic was. It doesn't even matter. But off topic from what they wanted to discuss. Okay, so at this point he's probably going, okay, yeah, they declined it, but maybe it was an accident. Can I find out why? It's not looking good for his experiment so far, though, right? For a free thought blog.
Ended up with, unfortunately, Matt having to reveal his true identity because it really wasn't going quite the way he expected it to at that point. Now, at the point where he revealed his true identity, he then got accused of the original one having been a sock puppet. They said you're not allowed to have multiple...
Oh, let me rewind that real quick because that went by really fast.
Where he revealed his true identity.
All right, so this is... let me get rid of the closed captions for a second here so you guys can actually see this. You should probably know who you're talking to before making accusations about actually participating in the community. It might be nice if you knew the content of the original post before disregarding it. Sincerely, Matt Dillahunty. Now, this is a flex. This is a straight up flex. And once again, I think this is perfectly okay. I am giving props to Matt on this. People think I hate Matt. I don't hate Matt at all. I think he's dishonest in certain things, and I think he has some errors. And I think he tries to cover up his tracks of his dishonesty a few times. At least intellectually dishonest. But this is a huge flex, and I appreciate this kind of flex. So when people think I crap on Matt all the time, I don't. I really honestly don't. But do you guys not see this as a flex? And it's one of those flexes that it works. I mean, it's like, damn, dude. But what do you think happens? Yeah, what do you think happens?
He then got accused of the original one having been a sock puppet. They said you're not allowed to have multiple accounts.
Oh, look at this. Okay, so this is by the moderator. I think this is the main moderator, if I'm not mistaken. They said, dude. I love the word dude. I call everybody dude. People, look, for the record, I don't care if you're male, female, other, non-binary, trans. It makes no difference to me. Dude has been a word that I've used for decades since I was a kid. And dude, if you look up on Wikipedia, is unisex. So don't come after me for using the word dude. I call everybody dude a lot. You know, people all the times in private, DM, doesn't matter. So don't make that an issue. But he's Fluenwell says, dude. We have an explicit rule against sock puppetry. That is why your other account was banned. You should have posted here under your own name. We take a dim view of socks because we've been under constant and severe troll attack since we began. Can you understand why that would make us a bit defensive here? Yeah, well, it's so funny that anytime anybody speaks against somebody, they're labeled a troll. No, trolls are very specific people. Trolls are people who want to harm people. Trolls are not interested in the topic. Trolls are not interested in the dialogue. Trolls don't give a shit about facts. Trolls are there to cause chaos, discord, and harm. We try to explain the difference to people, and if they have the skill set to figure out the difference between a troll and a person who just disagree, great. If they don't, then they're probably not going to like anything I have to say, or my channel, that's for sure, or a lot of the channels that surround my channel, because we definitely can see a troll when you tell them facts and facts and facts and facts and facts and facts and facts, and they're just not interested in that. And at that point, you have to recognize that this person is not interested in any kind of dialogue. So that's probably what's happening on these forums. And they're like, oh, hey, Matt, you are sock puppet now. That's why your account was banned. They didn't even take into a context of why he did it. None of that was even included, right? It wasn't like he was trolling them. It wasn't like he was trying to cause harm. It wasn't like he was causing discord or any kind of age of provocateur stuff. No. He was really out there to try to defend these people and defend this group. This is the irony of it. I mean, it's just like, are you kidding me? He went out to do one thing and ended up getting the complete opposite. So, yeah.
Bad Matt, and they banned the Curious account. That was the first thing that they did. So this was where it all started to get a little bit spicy. Whilst Matt Dillahunty was posting under this anonymous Curious account, he'd made the comment eventually, after enough provocation, that he was Matt Dillahunty, and he'd been scoffed at by the moderator, Llewellyn. When he then started posting on his actual Matt Dillahunty account, I think it threw them all into a little bit of a spin when they realised it actually was Matt Dillahunty.
Did I miss one? I'll make sure I didn't miss one. Did I miss one? It went by really fast. Yeah,
Matt, and they banned the Curious account. That was the first thing that they did. So this was where it all started to get a little bit spicy. Whilst Matt Dillahunty was posting under this anonymous Curious account, he'd made the comment eventually, after enough provocation, that he was Matt Dillahunty, and he'd been scoffed at.
Okay, so they didn't show that kind of quote, but Matt had revealed himself, right? And I love this. Sir, I know Matt Dillahunty. I've read Matt Dillahunty. Matt Dillahunty is a good man. Sir, you are no Matt Dillahunty. Wow. And you know, I've seen things like this happen. I've seen people do this in real time in other situations. I mean, same thing happened. I remember Stephen King had something similar too, wasn't it? Where Stephen King was on Twitter. Somebody had talked about him under a pseudonym. And, you know, it was Stephen King. What is it, Richard Bachman or something? I think that was Stephen King that happened to. And there was also another instance where somebody had wrote... Oh, yeah, there was another instance. It was a Trump, I think, where the ghostwriter for Trump's book, the Art of the Deal, the guy was talking to him, and he started going off on how he knows the ghostwriter or something like that. Or he's like... No, what he said was, if he had read the book, he would understand it, right? And the ghostwriter's like, I wrote it, you idiot. I mean, it's a major flex, right? So, gotta love that. So here's this person going, yeah, I know Matt, you're no Matt, right?
By the moderator, Llewellyn.
People that do me all the time too. You know, such and such about some person. I'm like, well, dude, I happen to know this person. You know, you're not citing them right, kind of thing.
When he then started posting on his actual Matt Dillahunty account, I think it threw them all into a little bit of a spin when they realised it actually was Matt Dillahunty. Clearly, a lot of people involved in Atheism Plus didn't have the first clue who Matt Dillahunty was, but the moderators certainly knew who he was, and they started to treat him with a little bit of authority and reverence, the kind of authority and reverence that he deserves, given his status, given that he's done more for atheism than probably everybody on that forum put together, given that he's probably done more for Atheism Plus than everybody on that forum put together. So this is where it all started to spin a little bit out of context.
This would be kind of equivalent to, you know, you're talking about physics or something like that, and, you know, you've got like Richard Feynman or Einstein or Planck or Bohr or somebody come into a forum and they're like, you know, I know Einstein, you are no Einstein. And I was like, eh. I'm not trying to compare Matt to Einstein by any means, but you get the analogy.
Control at this point. Matt Dillahunty wasn't best pleased, partly because he was getting criticised for trying to help, and partly because it had all kind of backfired on him in many ways. He'd gone there and he'd done what he'd done to show that he'd be treated reasonably. He hadn't. The very opposite had happened. The very thing that people had told him, he'd ended up inadvertently proving rather than disproving. Well, at this stage, a period of about, I don't know, maybe 24 hours went by, and then Matt released a video. Now, I know at this point a lot of people who are vehemently anti-Atheism Plus had really high hopes here. They knew from some tweets he'd made how pissed off Matt was, and they was hoping that that was gonna be clear.
So let me explain what's going on at that point. So Matt went on to make some videos about this particular topic, and the people that were against the A+, the people that were like, hey, look, this A+ stuff is BS. You need to get away from it. They thought this would be the definitive moment where he would say, yeah, look, here's evidence that they are exactly like you've been telling me, right? It wasn't like, he didn't have evidence of this. And so they really thought he would course correct. And by the way, I don't blame them. I would have probably thought the exact same thing, right? Hey, look, go over to these blogs, see what's happening, or see for yourself. He conducts an experiment, finds out exactly what these people were saying was true. His little experiment demonstrated complete opposite of what he thought it was going to show. But he went to go do these videos, and it didn't quite please anybody.
In this video, it wasn't really. Matt still cut a hell of a lot of slack to the Atheism Plus people. He said that he'd been working with the moderators, that had accepted that there were some problems in the things that they were doing, and that they'd started to put them to rights, so that he'd been working with them, and he was sure that the problems that had been shown there were being rectified. So this really didn't appease the anti-Atheism Plus. It wasn't quite what they'd hoped for. But it certainly wasn't what the Atheism Pluses were hoped for. They despised Matt even more for this video because he hadn't ingratiated and apologised to them enough for having created a sock puppet. Although he'd acted in good faith and tried to help them out, they couldn't really give a fuck about that because they'd invaded his safe space.
So he had now two groups pissed off of him. The group from the forums because he didn't apologize. These people love apologies, right? Even for the most minor transgression. Look, apology is supposed to mean something. Okay, and I know Canadians and certain other people, look, they apologize for everything and fine, whatever. I'm not like that. I will apologize when there's a major slight. There have been people out there that I got things wrong on, and I'm like, hey, look, you showed me differently, blah, blah, and I completely apologize, and water in the bridge, right? But they're far and few between, because if you apologize to everybody, I think it waters it down. I think it becomes less meaningful, right? And, these types of social justice, it's all about, oh, I offended your sensibilities. I made you upset. You got emotional. You cried. And it's all about being apologetic to them because they want that attention. So they didn't get the acknowledgement they wanted that Matt Dillahunty had made a sock puppet, invaded their safe space, felt violated, all these different terms that they used to kind of vilify Matt, that he done some major atrocity, some major wrong, that he committed some genetically social experiments on humanity or something like that, whatever the hell that they were saying. And then the other group was upset that he didn't recognize there was problems with these blogs. The whole reason why they sent him over there to begin with, he didn't get it. He didn't recognize it, even though he saw it firsthand, right?
And so what actually happened is, get this, Atheism Plus, this third wave of atheism, redefining atheism, it's going to take atheism forward into the 21st century, ladies and gentlemen, and they've banned Matt Dillahunty already. They don't like Christopher Hitchens, they don't like...
Okay, so do you hear what he said? He said, they banned Matt Dillahunty. Here's the guy that was promoting them, and they banned him. Not as just a sock account. Matt's main account. Now, fast forward 10 years later, how many times have I been banned in atheist communities, in atheist forums on Facebook, for speaking the truth, for actually saying, here's evidence, here's my argument. Oh, Steve's an idiot. In fact, even today, somebody posted something of one of my arguments in favor of my arguments. They posted a video from somebody that I did an interview with, and they're fans of mine, and they're like, Steve's right on this stuff. What's wrong with this? And of course, all the atheists underneath, well, not all of them, but many of them were just like, Steve's an idiot, Steve's a troll, Steve's a mean poopy head, Steve thinks he knows shit. But it's all negative rhetoric. But people are asking them, but what is he wrong about? You can say all these pejoratives about Steve, but where did he make a statement on atheism that isn't correct? And if there is, let's talk about it. None of that happens, but it's in a private community, right? And so if I have a thing, if in a private forum, I'm not going to talk about it much on my channel unless it goes public, or at least if I get authorization from the admins, or I'm kicked out. If I'm kicked out, then I have no onus to keep anything private any longer, because I think they violated, they've already violated my compact with them or whatever. And I still talk to the admins most of the time. I think everyone I've ever done where I showed something from Facebook private groups, I've already talked to the admins, and they're like, yeah, whatever, go for it. Because I do get along with many of them, but if you figure there's like 8 admins, I don't need permission from one, and I'm okay with that. And so this has happened to me multiple times because they're not interested in these types of discussions. They'll just ban you and go from there. And it shuts down dialogue, which in the long run kind of helps because people recognize these things now, and it's been happening to them. And they recognize, hey, Steve's been right on this. This has been this type of community. These communities do not want actual intelligent dialogue. What they want is for you to agree with them and kiss their ass. And of course, that's why I've never been popular in the atheist community. So whatever, not going to be like that. So this says by the moderator, first off, Dillahunty is banned indefinitely for violating the form rule on sock puppets. Again, doesn't take into account any kind of context. Very black and white thinking. Some of our rules are flexible and open to interpretation. This one is not. Well, why not? I mean, if there was no malintent and there was a reason why he did it, don't you think that should have been taken into account? Again, he wasn't trolling them. The rule against sock puppets makes sense against trolls and people wanting to cause harm, but that's not what Matt was doing. So this was one of those rules that should be flexible in this particular case, and this is a very bad admin. I don't know this admin, know nothing about them, don't know if they're still around, but this is what I consider to be somebody who should never been in a position to admin. I think almost, I'm going to say well over, tossing over a number, maybe 80% of the admins I've ran into in atheist communities are shit. I like a few. I mean, there's Tangela Wright. She's really sweet. She's nice. She likes to talk about these topics, and no ill will toward her whatsoever. And she's been around the atheist community and these things for quite some time, and she's one of the very few admins. I think she's probably one of the best admins, actually. And there's some others. There's one community that I'm in that has a deicide and has its name and a few other people, and they're great. So it's not all of them by any stretch of imagination. But this person flew Wellen, I guess if you pronounce it, definitely should never have been an admin. Absolutely not. Doesn't have the ability to discern or discernibility skills that they should have had. We have rules for a reason, and we cannot protect this safe space as a safe space. As a safe space, a free thought blog is not a safe space. There's a contradiction there. How can you have a free thought blog about talking about free thought as a safe space? I don't think those things are compatible to each other personally. I just don't. If we give breaks to, quote, big name atheist, the parallel between the situation and the one with ReaderCon earlier this year should not escape anyone. I don't know who ReaderCon was. Matt Dillahunty may be back at some point, if and only if he apologized sincerely for the damage he has done. I think that's what it says. He has, whatever, because it cuts off. But, yeah. Right. Okay. Now, there's a couple different things that could have happened, right? Matt could have bent the knee and apologized, and people would have been going like, "Oh, look at Matt. He's apologizing even though he doesn't need to. He's such a great guy." And of course, we all know from experience. And by the way, when I say we, it's like the royal we, right? I'm just saying for our community of the Great Debate community and those that listen to my channel for that aspect of my channel, that we see what happens after you apologize. It's never taken well. It's used against you. Apologies to these types of people are weaponized. Absolutely weaponized. No matter how sincere you are on it, doesn't matter. They'll say you're not sincere, this, that, and they'll weaponize it, and they'll keep bringing it up in perpetuity. So.
Like Richard Dawkins, and now they've banned Matt Dillahunty. They're getting off to a really cracking start, these Atheism Plusers, aren't they? Now, at this point, Llewellyn, who was like the lead moderator in all of this, started a thread, a nice huggy, touchy-feely thread, where the Atheism Plusers could give their reaction to Matt Dillahunty and what he'd done. And you've never...
I'm going to slow this down, because these are great. These are everything you would imagine from, as he said, a touchy-feely group of people that do not understand what really the reasoning Matt had for going in and doing his little experiment and making it into one of the most moral atrocities that have ever happened in the history of humanity, right? They've overblown everything. This is the word of the day that we call embellishment, right? So these are great. This one, I'm going to try to read this as best I can in a voice that I think conveys the emotion behind all this, right? I'm not no Undoomed. Undoomed would have been perfect for this. We should get Undoomed for this. By the way, I was just over on Undoomed's channel. He's streaming again live. Good stuff. I like Undoomed. I'm gonna flex a little bit. I'm a mod for Undoomed, so go. I'm obligated, I guess, to promote his stuff. So this is hard for me to write, but I'm leaving this forum because of Matt Dillahunty. Oh, that's so sad. He's leaving because of Matt. Because Matt made a sock puppet. This is too traumatizing. I can't cope with this. I can't deal.
Read such a bunch of over-the-top
this is normal
tripe
by the way.
in your entire life. There were posts there complaining that how could Matt Dillahunty have complaining.
I'm sorry, this is normal speed. It's so slow. God bless you, Noel.
Such a bunch of over-the-top.
All right, so here we go. When I first came here, I said that part of me thought that, quote, this will end badly. And not even a month later, it already has. The truth is, I'm crying as I write this. Many of you will think that's silly or over-dramatic. It is. But online interactions are just as meaningful and as important as offline interactions. And they have the same potential to bring joy and pain. So I'm doing the only thing that I can. I'm picking up the pieces and retreating away from forums and blogs and movements. Will I ever be back? I don't know. But I'm not going to say never, because none of us know what the future holds. But I think it's going to be a long time before I feel strong enough to put myself out there again for any reason. This is what Matt was dealing with. This is what I've dealt with in that community. I'm pretty damn sure that many of you have dealt with this nonsense in these types of communities, this same type of thing. So if you have, let me know in the live chat if you've seen this exact same thing. This is from 2012. Remember this. This is October 2012. This is now, what, August 2021, and nothing has changed. Nothing has changed with these types of people.
Tripe in your entire life. There were posts there complaining that how could Matt Dillahunty...
Here's another one. Logical than announcing you what does this even say? Logical than announcing what you tend to give. I don't know. Instead, you choose to double down, drivel your refuse deeper, and make yourself out to be an even more dastardly villain than you already are. Wow. Look, I mean, I got a lot of issues with Matt. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he has a lot of things wrong with his understanding of philosophical atheism and philosophy and stuff like that. But I don't think he's a dastardly villain. I mean, that's a little bit of hyperbolic, don't you think?
Dillahunty have conducted this gross social experiment on us.
Gross social experiment. Here's another one. Yes. Because no one left behind. Because no one has left because of this. No one has decided that, since the mods will protect people from social experiments and ban people who break the rules that exist for good reason, that the forum is not a place they feel safe anymore. To sum up, fuck you. Taking a break from Facebook, or to me, that's not Facebook. Taking a break from Free Thought Blog for a month or 6 or 2. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. I mean, I can't even make this up. It's so bad. It's like these are actual screenshots from actual comments from actual people in this blog. And I have no reason to doubt their authenticity because I've seen this type of behavior before. I've lived through it, dealing with these kind of people going, you guys are just not honest agents. This is nonsensical bullshit this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to you. This is the greatest pain that you've been through, is Matt Dillahunty making a sock puppet. I mean, fuck me.
A social experiment. You'd think he'd conducted some kind of eugenics, or that he took away.
I don't mean to interrupt you there, Noel, but I'm trying to read these comments and you kind of put them a little bit fast. Hurt, but I can't remember to list them all. And I'm saddened and angered that so many people are considered leaving because your fucking social experiment that mattered to me far more than your self-important ass ever will. Good God.
Everybody's child to be brought up into some atmosphere, to some special atmosphere by.
Yeah. And Frida, they say social experiment that revealed them to be a bunch of tossers. Yeah, you nailed that one. Exactly. Here's another one. I've been avoiding posting on this as my reaction to this was mostly anger. I don't know who Matt Dillahunty was before all this. But now I'm fucking angry that he decided it was okay to experiment with people without their permission. And that is my main problem with this. It's not something you do ever. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. It's just like, I can't deal with this, man. I just can't. I can't deal. I can't. I mean, oh, God. They're angry that Matt Dillahunty went out of his way to try to defend these people, made his sock account to do so with no ill intent to try to clear them. And this is the greatest thing in their lives that, well, okay, let me rephrase, not the greatest thing. The most detrimental thing in their lives that has ever happened to them. Really? They must have really perfect lives. I mean, really perfect lives. If this is the worst atrocity that has ever happened to them. This wouldn't even rank a 1 on my scale from shit that happens to me. This wouldn't even be in the... There's no number on the scale. I don't know if this would even qualify as something higher than 0. I mean, this is like total fuckery. Oh, got a super chat. Thank you, Kawasa. You're very, very kind. 2001, I think British rants are the best in the world. Oh, yeah, dude. British know how to rant. Hey, Noel Plum is one of the premier ranters of all time. Again, this was going on 10 years ago, and he still does rants. So if you guys want to see good rants, go check out Noel Plum. One of the best, seriously. One of these days, I don't think he's ever been on the channel. I don't know why. One of these days we have to make that happen. I mean, we've talked about it, but...
Special arranged parents to see if they'd all become child prodigies or something. The actual social experiment he had conducted is that he'd created another account so that he wouldn't have the authority of being Matt Dillahunty to show what a great bunch of people the Atheism Pluses were.
Exactly. Right? I mean, look, the people the original people in that group, the moderators know who Matt was. And the name carries some value to it, some weight. He has name recognition. Can't take that away from the guy, right? So he said, look, I don't want to be treated like Matt Dillahunty. I want to be treated like somebody who they don't know who I am, to go in, have this conversation about the original discussion, whatever the hell that was, about the person that was having, who got kicked out originally from the people that originally had told him, hey, you got to go check this out because they're banning people who talk about this. And they just banned this person who talked about this. And he went in and go, oh, no. That doesn't happen over there. I don't think so. Let me go over there and show you guys that doesn't happen. Bro says, oh, MFG, you're killing me. Steve, great to meet you. Is that by the way, is my accents okay? I don't usually do any voice work, but I think I kind of nailed that. I'm gonna say I think I did okay on that because that's exactly how I picture them sounding in my head, kind of thing. Okay, maybe a little being hyperbolic there, but still, that's the emotional level that they're at.
I'll be showing you comments all the way in probably now to show you that what I'm saying I'm not exactly making up here. So that was the reaction thread. They also demanded an apology. If Matt Dillahunty wants to return, he damn well better apologise.
I love that too. Yeah, damn well better apologize. Look, there are reasons to demand apologies. Now, I don't particularly demand apologies. I've had people say, Steve demanded an apology. Maybe a few times I have. I don't know. It's possible. It's not normally my go-to. My thing is, hey, are you going to apologize, or am I just going to treat you like a troll or treat you as a dishonest agent? That's usually what I'm going for in the last, as far as I know, a couple of years at least. So have I demanded apologies before? It's possible. I can't really say one or other that I have or have not. If it was, there was a very, very, very long ago, maybe early on when I had my YouTube channel. But I can pretty well say, ever since at least the Non Sequitur show, I can't remember ever saying, you have to apologize to me. I demand you apologize. I can't remember. If somebody has me saying that, let me know. I'd like to evaluate it, but I doubt it. But what I do is, if you go look at my history on my Twitter, is mostly say, would you like to apologize now? Go on my Twitter line and find how many times I've said we'd like to apologize or something to that effect. So this one. But no, you instead had to run and hide behind, I'm Matt Dillahunty. Seriously, fuck you, man. No, that's not what even Matt did. I can't even believe how much I'm defending Matt here, right? Because people know I've got a history with Matt, but Matt did nothing fucking wrong. This is the funniest fucking part, man. Matt didn't. Matt was trying to help these people. I don't know if I would have done the same thing. Maybe. I'm not saying that I wouldn't have. It was good intent, so I got no problem with that. But holy shit, they're making it out to be, I'm running behind Matt Dillahunty, by the name. No, he was trying to show that you guys were not exactly what these people were saying you were. Special snowflakes that shut down conversations and block people inappropriately for no reason if you didn't want them to have a discussion that you didn't like them having, which, by the way, is not free thought. No, Matt, you do. You need to not obviously sockpuck, and then hide behind your status, which was not what happened. You need to learn to respect the rules of the spaces you wish to take part in more than just letter. Until then, you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir. I'm dying. Because you know these people are still around in some aspect, in some way. They have not changed. If anybody who ever wrote these things is still around, that ever watched this video, if you were one of these people that made these comments and you have changed, please get a hold of me. I will have you on air that day if possible. Or at least ASAP, because I want to know what the hell is going through your brain and if you did change. Because this is just dumb shit. Just straight up dumb shit. Oh, God.
To us for causing this huge wedge.
This huge wedge, yes. So this one says, he doesn't deserve to be here if that's the best he can do. Yay, talking up A+, but seriously, talking up A+ in other venues does not excuse and mitigate coming to these forums and taking a huge jump on them, which, again, not what Matt did. We all deserve at least a real heartfelt apology from him that demonstrates he really gets what he did wrong. He was so wrong. Damn it, Matt, you were just so wrong. Yeah, Matt won't even apologize to me for the shit that he was wrong about. Matt won't even apologize to me for saying that I was some kind of bitch to language when I'm not even a prescriptivist. Matt won't even apologize to me when I have said that he has used things incorrectly and he logically has got things wrong and things of that nature. Do you think he's going to apologize for this? And by the way, he kind of did, if I remember correctly. But yeah, this is wow.
Within our community and treating us in this kind of despicable way. And then a poster on Free Thought Blogs called Lousy Canuck got involved. Now, apparently he's called the Lousy Canuck because he doesn't like hockey, he doesn't drink bacon, and he doesn't eat bacon. Well, he doesn't drink bacon either. He doesn't eat bacon, and he doesn't drink enough beer.
That is a lousy Canuck. Look, if you're a Canuck and you don't like hockey, beer, or bacon, what the hell are you doing up there? Something's wrong with you. Now, I'm not a hockey fan. I do like beer and I love bacon. I don't, by off tangent, but I don't know if you guys know any of this, but they've changed some rules and regulations just really recently, which might cause bacon might go up like 60% price. So if you like bacon, store it now because go read a little bit, but it might be some major price hikes. So if you're paying I think it was like $6 something now, you're gonna be paying $9. So vegans rejoice, right? I happen to like bacon, but yeah, you're a lousy Canadian if you don't like bacon, and I mean real bacon, not this Canadian bacon crap. That's not bacon. Stop it. Stop, Canadians. Stop telling people Canadian bacon's bacon. It's not. Yeah, I mean, it comes from a different part of the pig, whatever, but no. Us Americans, we know our bacon, man. You get a nice hickory smoke bacon. Sorry, vegan coral atheist. I still adore you.
He isn't called the Lousy Canuck because he's a shit-stirring bastard. Though that might be why you would think he was called the Lousy Canuck if you had a look through the last blog posts he's made for the last month or so. But no. The Lousy Canuck then made this shit-stirring thread on. You would think this is another supporter of Atheism Plus, that he would want to try and heal the wounds. But no, there's mileage to be gained.
And by the way, don't listen to Mr. Cirrus. He thinks pineapple on pizza's good. So yeah, we don't trust Mr. Cirrus.
Yeah. So he then made this blog post on Free Thought Blogs demanding himself that Matt Dillahunty issue an apology for all the terrible things that he's done.
Matt, I really think you owe them an apology. Yeah, See, here's me. I would have been like, screw you guys, right? And I've done this before. Straight up, people think that I owe them an apology when I don't. Yeah, you can piss off. You are not going to get an apology when you're not owed one. People that have gotten apologies from me know who they are, and they have accepted and moved on, and they've never talked about it since. Why? Because that's how it works with honest people. Honest people get apologies when there's been an honest slight, and nobody's perfect. I have made mistakes. And as soon as I find out and corrected them, I will apologize, right? And I'm not saying they happen very often, but it's happened. There have been people that I may have jumped to some conclusions. I've learned from it over the years, right? I've gotten better at it, just like, we all should, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with apologies if it's sincere and it's due. But these people are not due an apology. And if you apologize to people that are not due an apology, I will tell you right here and now, almost every single time, it will be used against you. Except maybe in a court of law. In America. In Canada, it's a little bit different. Canadian, you don't want to apologize from understand. No, so Canadian, you want to apologize. Here you only want to apologize if there's going to be punitive action. Because in some states, if you apologize, the punitive actions will be reduced. Fun fact some people should probably be aware of here coming up. Foreshadowing.
Over to the Atheism Plus people. So that's kind of where it lies now. Matt Dillahunty is being asked to make these apologies. He doesn't feel in any mind to make apologies. He says he was acting in good faith, that he was trying to help them out, and he thinks they've treated him badly.
Which they did. He went over there to help him out. Skeptic77, you apologize for your statement on pineapples on pizza. Never. No, look, here's the thing. I will eat pineapple on pizza. I've said this. Okay? I will eat it. But you think that pineapple pizza is better than pepperoni? You got issues. You got problems, man. No. The facts remain. This is an objective fact of reality that's literally woven into the space-time continuum. That pineapple pizza is better than. Oh my God, that's going to be taken out of context again. Pepperoni pizza is better than pineapple. There you go. Pineapple is okay, but if you want to have an objective fact, pepperoni beats pineapple. I can try to prove that mathematically or through some kind of. I'll get a Ouija board. A Ouija board will prove that to you. We'll ask the spirits or something. But no, seriously, does anybody think pineapple pizza is better than pepperoni? Does anybody? If you think pineapple pizza is better than pepperoni, let me know. And by the way, yeah, no, pineapple from a can is no. You don't put that on pizza. That I will always maintain is wrong. If you get some freshly cut Hawaiian pineapple and you cut it in like O-rings and you kind of cut that up and you put that on pizza, oh, okay, fine. But if you put canned pineapple on a pizza, you automatically are fundamentally flawed. But I like to know somebody who likes pineapple better than pepperoni. And by the way, bacon is, yeah, I like bacon on pizza. Bacon and beef is one of my favorites. And I also like white sauce with garlic, or garlic white sauce, or Fredel sauce, either one. But I prefer, I think, the garlic sauce. With spinach and feta cheese. Oh, that is a masterful pizza. All right, off topic, but here we go.
And they owe him an apology. So that's where we're at. That brings us up to speed. Ever since then, pretty much radio silence from Matt Dillahunty. More whining over at Atheism Plus. That's pretty much where it's at. And some more whining on the Lousy Canucks thread. Although I think he's got a bit of a nosebleed because so many people were commenting on the blog. So he's turned moderation on, I should say, to keep the desperate ne'er-do-wells such as myself from being able to post a comment on that thread. That's where we're at. Now I want to give my thoughts on it all.
All right, the second part of this is his thoughts, which I've already kind of went over now. I mean, do you guys want to keep this down to an hour so it's easily digestible? I don't like doing videos longer than an hour or two, obviously, these days. It would probably take another half hour to go through his analysis, which is brilliant. And I agree with it. But do you guys want me to do an analysis of his analysis, which I agree with, or do you want to go watch the rest of it on his page and, give him some props, say hi to him in the comments and say how much you love his stuff. He likes adoration, right? So, and subscribe to him. Make sure you subscribe to him. So if you want to subscribe to Noel Plum and comment to him that I did an amazing job on the analysis of his video, that's fine too. But so what do you guys think? If you want me to continue to do an analysis of his analysis, or just wrap it up here. I'm really fine either way, to be honest with you. I still got to hit the store, so it really makes no difference to me. This was fun either way. I like doing these things, so I really appreciate you guys sending these things in and saying, "Hey, will you talk about this?" This was epic. You know, like I said, I already saw this, and I already knew that I've seen it when it was sent to me. But you know what? I'll watch it again, and it had value to it. It clearly had some value to it because things have not changed since then. Matt still doesn't learn from his mistakes because, again, his only mistake was really underestimating the audience that he was dealing with. And he continues to do that. He supports people like Jimmy Snow. He supports people like Kyle Curtis. He supports people like Nate Brody. He supports people like Godless Engineer and Caitlin Chloe. He supports all these people that we know have lied repeatedly over the years and basically have done a lot of harm to people by their manipulations, by false allegations. And, you know, I've lived through this. So, you know, not to kind of, you know, be comparative of victimization here, of victim status, but that's, you know, a lot of what these people do is called persecution versus privilege. And it is all about who is persecuting more against the privileged people. And of course, you know, in his analysis, he brings this up that, you know, Matt Dillahunty is treated as a privileged white cisgender heterosexual male, which, by the way, I fall into that category, so I get that. And the whole argument comes down to, hey, Matt, just check your privilege kind of thing. Never discussing what the arguments are actually about. Just check your privilege. And if you don't agree with us, check it again kind of thing. But, you know, all these people, you know, they levied some pretty hefty claims and pretty hefty claims of criminal activity, and none of them had any proof for it. So Matt Dillahunty supports these people. That's one of the reasons why I think he's dishonest, because he has gone out of his way to literally support people that have caused harm to people, like Jimmy Snow has caused harm to people. Kyle Curtis caused harm to people. Matt doesn't acknowledge any of this. He doesn't learn that he fucked up on these things, and that to me is an ego issue. That it means that he has not understood that this image that he has that needs to be protected at all costs is costing him, because it splinters people. Because you just lose people along the lines as people say, look, you know, Matt, you're doing something wrong here. You've said something. It just happened as recently with the whole the line thing in Autumn, saying, you know, these people were just like, oh, I don't want to deal with this. I'm just going to kick you off the show and remove all your posts and comments and anytime you're in the show, anything like that. Yeah, that's what they did, from what I understand, with this Notes from Autumn person, who, again, doesn't like me. I don't know why, but whatever. Somebody says, don't talk to Steve, he's a bad man. Okay, whatever, but, you know, I've always had cordial conversations with her. I think she's fundamentally wrong on some things, but, you know, the same things apply. They shut down communication. They rewrite history. Jimmy Snow has rewritten history how many times by now? I mean, I didn't include it in this video description, but people will find it in others, you know, my blog on all that stuff. So these people comparing what have happened to me and the Non Sequitur Show fans and other people to, he made a sock account. I'm sorry, that's not comparable. It's just not. It's not comparable. Hey, Converse Contender. Nobody deleted your thing, dude. I don't see any deletions, my friend. How are you? When are we going to stream again, Converse Contender? Yeah, they went full scorched on Autumn. Exactly, Hawkskull. They did. And that's what they did to me years ago. Look, I've been ostracized from the atheist community 5 years ago because I dare speak out against, you know, Matt Dillahunty. Well, it was actually before even Aaron Raw. And I maybe a little bit before Matt Dillahunty. It was basically, well, it was against Matt Dillahunty. But it was more along the lines of the atheist community as a whole and the atheist community of Austin. And, you know, Steve doesn't know what he's talking about with atheism. Let's just get rid of him before he does damage to the movement and he harms people's minds and he brainwashes them. And all of a sudden, 5 years later, do you know how many people now agree with me? And do you know people go, hey, Steve was right on this entire time, and now they're having videos on this stuff? Or they're making videos on this stuff, or they have blogs on this stuff, or they're calling up these shows going, yeah, you guys are just not right on this. And it's not a matter of like, pick this over that. It is, you guys are saying this as objective fact. Here's the literature. The literature doesn't match what you're saying. It's simple as that. The logic doesn't hold. The reasoning doesn't hold. So anyways, yeah, I'm not going to go through the second part. I think I've kind of like, you know, said my piece on it. If you guys really want me to do a second, maybe I will at another time. If you want me to review his review, but I think you guys go check it out, you know, on your own. Let me know in the video comment section if you want me to review of something else or DM me directly. I appreciate the comments. The more comments, the better. You know, obviously I have to filter comments because I do get troll comments. I do get these porn bots or whatever the hell they are, and some other things. So those are all filtered out. And if you have a comment that doesn't show up all the way, please don't assume that I deleted it. It goes to a filter for whatever reason, and some of it's not even stuff that I filter out. It just YouTube has done it on its own. But I do check my stuff probably every day or every other day, and then I approve all this stuff. So if you don't see it right away, just don't think the worst, right? But anyways, I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the super chat, Kawasa. If you want to join the channel, become a member, I really appreciate it. Get a nice, cool green look to you. It's not that expensive, and every little bit helps right now. Become a member of the channel and or Patreon, which is in the video description. I'm going to be trying, like I said, to do many more videos coming up. Right now, well, you know what? I'm not going to tell you what I got planned. So let it be kind of a secret. But with that, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching. Look forward to your comments in the video description. Please help promote this video. Like and subscribe. You know, all that other YouTube normal stuff. Peace.